Loss is always a difficult thing for us as human beings, I think. I think it's even more difficult if you're younger, because in a way, as human beings, as we enter the world, for the first little while, what we're doing is learning new stuff and integrating new things into our world, and life just keeps getting bigger and we add more and more each day and learn things, and it's an incredible time to be alive. But if you live for long enough, and it's not that long really, after a while you will actually encounter some loss. And loss is a strange thing for us because we're not sure how to understand it. We encounter it as a little bit intimidating and challenging, a bit stressful, and often there's not a lot of support around for us as we go through that process. The thing about loss is that it will come in one of its many faces to us inevitably, and it does serve us well to work out how to manage that process in our lives, because it's a process that we're going to encounter again and again. And I can tell you, as someone who's now lived for more than 50 years, the experience of loss seems to increase the longer you live, and the capacity to integrate the meaning of those losses into one's life is really important. So I know that there's some people around the college at the moment who are facing or have faced the loss of people that are close to them, and I just thought, with the COVID thing going on too, there's all kinds of loss involved with that, like loss of our normal lifestyle, loss of the kind of social interactions that we've become familiar with, or loss of opportunity. Many people also are experiencing a financial loss as a result of the COVID thing. So just thought the topic of loss would be a good one for us to think about. And if you're not interested, you've already flicked on. But if you're still watching, I think there's a couple of things that are really helpful for us. All religions, of course, have narratives that have ultimate stories involved. And I'm a Christian person, so my particular expertise is in the area of the Christian narrative, and I think that narrative is particularly helpful in the area of dealing with loss, because it has a kind of life, death, resurrection arc to it. And I think that can also be useful when thinking about things that are familiar to us, which we then lose, and then discovering a life that is on the other side of that loss, that can be actually richer, deeper, fuller than the one that we knew before the loss, which is an unexpected thing really, because when we first encounter loss, we experience it as something kind of akin to a mini dying. In fact, if we invest ourselves in another person or a situation and that gets taken away from us, that part of our life is gone. And that is a form of death for us. So how can it be richer on the other side of that? Well, let me see if I can explain it. In reality, life is always moving. Nothing is stable, and indeed no life goes on forever in this world. We know that every person born will die, and every situation that you're in will change, so there'll be loss in that as well. And so to work out how to engage that with hope is, I think, a key life skill. And this is what I mean. So rather than seeking to avoid the experience of loss, which I think instinctually we want to do because we want to avoid pain, we want to avoid a challenge, and so it's difficult, and maybe there's not many people who have gone through that journey that we know, or people around us are not all that capable at supporting us as we go through that journey. And so we are more prone to push it away or to avoid the experience of loss, which of course doesn't take the loss away, it just removes our active engagement in it. And sometimes that creates all sorts of secondary level issues. But if we can engage the process of loss, if we can look squarely at what's going on and engage it fully and be present to it, then I think we've got the opportunity to enter more fully into our life, more fully into an awareness of the preciousness of all things. And that in itself has a certain, I don't know, I want to say glory to it. And if you've got the idea of a narrative of life and death and resurrection, or familiarity, loss, and then deepening richness, which I think is an apt translation in a day-to-day way of that narrative, then you can engage the loss in hope, which I think fortifies us to engage it more fully. So that means that rather than wanting to avoid the realities of what's going on, we want to face them as squarely as we can. We want to engage the emotional journey and feel the pain and experience the grief and go through that knowing that it won't be forever, but that if we do that work properly, it will finish. Not that we'll forget what we have lost, but that we will reintegrate it into our ongoing life in a way that is rich and full. I'll tell you a little story. I lost my dad 6 years ago, and I'm already, an older middle-aged man, I guess. And that was hard for me to lose my dad. But a very strange thing has happened over the last 6 years, a thing I couldn't have anticipated and certainly didn't expect. My relationship with my father has continued to grow. And in fact, I would say it has grown deeper, more respectful, has a greater sense of grace to it than it ever had while he was living and breathing and walking around on earth. Now you might say, well, I missed a great opportunity for a good relationship with him when he was alive with me, and maybe that's true, but I'm not missing the opportunity to continue to integrate his life in mine in an ongoing way. And I can talk to my dad. You might say that's my imagination, and maybe it is, but I still talk with him. And my appreciation of him is real, and my sense of extending grace to him in areas where previously I might have been prone to judge or exclude him. I've now come to see that there was a man doing the best that he could do for me and for his family, and that continues to bring me richness in ways I have not expected and cannot anticipate how that continues to bring fruit for me. So there is a loss and there's a grief associated with that, and I grieved long and hard. And then on the other side, there's a deepening as my sense of companionship with my father deepens, and his love for me continues to be real and continues to shape my sense of things. So I'm Reverend David Gore. I am the chaplain at Wesley College, and I am available to you if you're struggling with some of those sorts of issues. You've also got Jessie, who's a counsellor, and she's excellent and there more often than I am, but I'm reachable, and if ever you need to talk about things, I'm there for you. God bless. Stay faithful. Amen.